Every administration prepares a transition team and a transition process for leaving office. It's required by law. The Trump administration, we don't know because they refuse to tell us. Check this out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. This is just another variation on the same theme of the Trump administration being completely lawless, ignoring the Constitution, ignoring the law repeatedly. These guys aren't just grifters. They have wandered into the or marched into the realm of basically something resembling anti-democratic, autocratic criminal conspiracy with regard to the way that they're running the government. It's mind-boggling. This Courtney Booble is writing over at Government Executive magazine, right? There's a magazine for people who are executives within the government. It's basically, management level people in government agencies, federal, state, local, whatever it may be. Their website for the magazine is govexec.com, govexec, as in government executive. And Courtney Booble writes, the Trump administration has redacted the meeting minutes pertaining to its presidential transition activities. Now, presidential transition means, January 20th, when it's time for Trump to leave the White House and Joe Biden to come into it, there's got to be a process there that lasts a couple of weeks, actually, where the people that Biden has named for his cabinet meet with the cabinet officers from the Trump administration. There's a handoff. The president, the vice president, the national security advisor, they go through that. We had Sandy Berger on this program years ago talking, this is right after, George W. Bush became president, talking about how the Bill Clinton administration did this handoff to the George W. Bush administration and warned how he personally warned the incoming national security director at the Trump administration that, look out for Osama bin Laden, how Al Gore specifically warned Dick Cheney of this, how President Clinton specifically warned George W. Bush about this. And of course, they all blew it off. But nonetheless, they did it. There is this, the law was originally written in 1963. It was called the Presidential Transition Act. It was amended and tightened in 2015, called the Presidential Transitions Improvement Act. And it requires that the agency, that the White House put together a team to make this happen, and that they do it 6 months in advance of the transition. And that they have to plan that, 6 months in advance of January 20th would be what, July 20th? Which was 2 days ago. And so, they have to report this out. And they had a meeting on May 27th to set this all up. And there's been no public announcements about it. So Government Executive Magazine sued them under the Freedom of Information Act and said, we want to see the notes, we want to see the agenda, we want to see what was done at that meeting. And so they sent a copy of the notes and the agenda back to the magazine, and everything was blacked out except for the headline. I mean, literally. The headline, there was one headline that said key discussion items for the meeting, and then everything below that was blacked out. And then there was another headline that said key action items for the meeting, and everything below that was blacked out. This has never happened before. Something that we say a lot about this administration. But, I think we're all legitimately concerned about what's going to happen in November, December, January. I mean, keep in mind, the 2000 election, the George W. Bush versus Al Gore election, that Al Gore actually won in Florida. Al Gore won that election, and he would have been president had the Supreme Court not intervened and stopped the recount in Florida, which, by the way, the Florida Constitution called for. This was the federal government, the Supreme Court, overriding the Constitution of Florida in order to stop a recount so that George W. Bush could be president. But, anyhow, we're looking at an administration that is just, completely abandoned the rule of law.